Hi there friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making a very lovely Hanukkah card. We're going to be using the brand new little Menorah die set. It's so cute. You can add a little face to it. I'm not going to add a face to it this time, but I do love that you have that option. So darling, and it's pretty easy to put together. And believe it or not, we're going to pair it up with our Tree of Light stencil. Now, I'm not going to use it as a tree, but I do want the bokeh effect, and this is a lesson in using what you have sometimes. And so we're going to grab out that stencil, and we're going to play around with it on the back or on the front of our card. All right, so I've got the stencil. I did put a piece of A2 sized white cardstock on top of a grip mat that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to end up trimming it down. I don't need this to go all the way across my paper. I just want a part of it. I'm going to cut off parts of the white, but we're going to start with some blue ink. That blue ink is some speckled egg, and I'm bringing in my blending brush, and I'm just blending it on that section. And then I'm going to flip my stencil around, and we're going to just overlap a couple parts, but we're going to put it right next to it so that it gives us a bit of a rectangle. Then we're going to move on to the next part of the stencil, and we're going to grab the next color. And that next color is going to be some spun sugar. And we're going to do the same thing, just blend over the top of that. Then we'll flip our stencil and do the same thing on that side. And then we'll grab the other stencil, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use some squeezed lemonade this time. So you do have, if you wanted to do 4 different colors, you absolutely could. I'm just choosing to do 3, but you could do 4 since there are 4 parts of this stencil or this tree. And then flip it again, cover that, and then we have this really cool rectangle of bokeh lights. It's I think it turns out really, really pretty. I don't stop there. I do bring in some Sublime Solar Spray. It's a yellow spray, and it's not going to show up crazy, like a lot on this white cardstock. It's usually made for darker cardstock, but it is going to add a beautiful shimmer to it. And so the Sublime is a yellow. You can't see it there. I'm going to try and pick that up and show the camera. It needs some time to dry, but take a look at the shimmer that you got going on. I'm going to set that off to the side to dry, and we will start cutting out our pieces or piecing some of it together. So here's our darling little Menorah, and I like to take the packaging, and that way it's a little bit easier to put things together. I did die cut out all of my pieces ahead of time. I used some craft cardstock for the base of the candle holder, the Menorah, and then I used an Olo marker just to color a couple parts of that. So this is going to be that trim piece at the bottom. I'm using some reverse tweezers and some liquid glue, and I use mint tape to hold things in place if I want to color them. That just makes it so much easier. But I'm going to bring in my pickup stick because these are small pieces for the top part, and we are going to go through and put each of those pieces on there, just using that pickup stick, using tiny bits of glue. I suppose you could skip this part if you didn't want to do it, but it really does take it to the next level. And so I definitely recommend doing it. I keep putting my hand over what I've die cut out, and so then it keeps sticking to the side of my hand. If I'd been thinking, I would have moved it either up top or off to the left, but I wasn't. So, all right, we're going to put down a little bit more glue on the next 3. Pick that up with the wax tip of our pickup stick. And every once in a while, I do flip my pickup stick over and use the pick piece to just kind of push things right into place where they need to be. See, I'd never learned my lesson. And then we'll put the last 3 pieces on for this. To put the rest of the Menorah together, I am going to need to put it onto my card panel. And so we're going to bring that back in, and we're going to trim it down. Actually, after I do a little bit of coloring first. So the blue, I want the top waxy part of the blue to be darker, so I'm just bringing in a blue Olo. And then I will bring in a orangey yellow for the flame, just to kind of add a little bit of feathering to the bottom of each flame. You do have to die cut that out twice. That's going to give you 5 flames. You only need 9. And with the candles themselves, you die cut those out 3 times because it's a set of 3. So let's trim this piece down. We only want the bokeh bit to be in there, so I'm trimming off that white. I need to trim off a little bit more. Just want to make sure the menorah is going to fit on there. And then I do grab in some of the blue. So you see this blue cardstock here. It does have some die cutting out of it. I am absolutely okay with it because the piece that I'm going to put on top, our bokeh piece, is going to cover what I die cut out. This is just another way to use what you have. And I'm not wasting any of that paper. So I'll just glue down my white piece, and I just cut that slightly bigger than, the blue piece is cut slightly bigger than my white piece, and then it's got a nice bit of blue on the left and right hand side of it. Kind of playing around with how I want that menorah. It's going to have to go vertically, not horizontally. So we'll glue this down into the middle of a white card base. That white card base is an A2, so it did measure 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and it was scored at 4.25, so it's a side folding A2 size card. And we're just going to use some liquid glue to adhere everything down. So we'll glue down our candle base, and then we can glue down each of the candles. So eventually I'm going to speed this up. I've got it going double time, but we're going to speed it up to about 4 times. And what I do is I put down a little bit of glue, put my candle on top of that, and then I put just a little bit of glue on the top of the candle so that I can add the melty wax part. Picking that up with my pickup stick. And each one of those little like drippy wax pieces is a little bit different, which is kind of fun. And so are the flames. The flames are all each a little bit different too, so it's not completely uniform. Each candle is the same, but like the drippy part and the flame are a little bit different, so I really like that. So here we're speeding it up, quadruple time, because it's the same process for each one. In the end, I really love how this card turned out. I love the bit of color behind the menorah. And I do have another card to show you in the end that's just like this, but different colors. More of a nighttime kind of look, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean when I show it to you. But I love that bokeh look behind our menorah. It really, really makes it the festival of lights. Oh, and I love that blue. Such a pretty blue. And we're just about finished putting the menorah together. All right, for our sentiment, you have a couple of options. I chose to bring in this darling stamp set called Sha-Gnome, and we're going to use the Happy Hanukkah from that. But if you put this on a 5x7 card, you could absolutely do the big die cut that says Happy Hanukkah. So there you do have that option. I'm just going to stamp the Happy Hanukkah using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink right above our menorah. And then I don't stop there. I do have to put a few embellishments in there. These embellishments are the white sparkle spots. I felt like they just really added to the look in the background. And I put quite a few down, just using my pickup stick. And eventually I will glue those down using my liquid glue and the pickup stick. And you noticed we have a buddy in here now. We have Miles decided to come and join because of course I'm using glue in tiny pieces. At least it's not a wet product or project. He's all over those. And then once I get all those down, that's going to finish off the card. Again, I really like how this turned out, and I want to show you another version. Basically the same sketch, but just using different colors, and they just both make me so happy. Love how those turned out. So if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Trinity Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you soon.